We're good to go? Okay, all right, great. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Landon.
All right, please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could call the roll.
Director Gore. Director Reedy.
Here.
Director Landon.
Here.
Director Hadeschelt.
Here.
Chair Halden.
Here. All right, thank you. And if we could now read the statement of meeting procedures.
Welcome to the Western Placer Waste Management Authority meeting of August 13th, 2026. Agendas are available on the table outside this meeting room. If you are here to speak on a matter not on the agenda, you may do so during public comment. The board is not permitted to take action on items addressed under public comment. All items on the agenda will be open for the public to address before final action is taken. Accessibility information is provided on the meeting agenda. Please turn off and put on silent mode all cell phones and other electronic devices. Thank you for your participation.
Okay, great, thank you. Before we move to the next item, our general manager, are there items that are pulled from the agenda? Just so everybody, if somebody's here waiting for it, they know that it's not pulled from the agenda.
Yes, item 9A will pull from the agenda.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, our next item is closed session, Government Code 54957B1, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, General Manager. Is there any public comment on this item before we adjourn to closed session? I should say move to closed session, not adjourn. Yeah. All right, hearing none, we will now move to closed session and return when we're finished. Thank you. Bonnie? All right, we think she's there. She's there, though? We can. Bonnie? All right. What's that? Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, put your order in now. They'll bring you whatever you want. I usually have my order and I forgot it.
How many Patriot Cups do you have? It's water.
It's water.
That's too bad.
Oh, hey, Bonnie.
Oh, now it worked. Okay, good. All right.
Okay, great. All right. We've returned from closed session with nothing to report. We'll move on to item 6, public comment. This is a time when persons may address the board regarding items that are not on the agenda. It's requested that the comments be brief, since the board is not permitted to take any action on items addressed under public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 7 and start with report from the general manager.
Thank you. Just a few things to report out. We transitioned to a new credit card processing system, I think just last month, or last week, excuse me. It better interacts with our WasteWorks software, and it will result in an estimated annual savings of about $350,000. So
Wow.
that is
Was
very-
that your idea? I felt like you brought that up.
Director Reedy pointed out how much the fees we were paying and,
Yeah.
and credit card.
Well, great work to all of
And
you.
Stephen did a great job seeing that through, so he can answer any questions about that if they come up. The independent consultant that we're using, that FCC is using to do the SB 1383 quarterly 10-day audits, 2 of them have been completed. Both of the results were well above the 75% diversion threshold for organic material. And we are roughly halfway through the 3rd audit right now. It's going on as we speak. So hopefully we'll have good results at the next meeting. So we're well on the way to becoming a compliant facility for 1383. So that's good news. And thanks to FCC for all the work they're doing on that. Appreciate it. We have a compost workshop this weekend. I think there's about 40 people coming to learn how to compost at home. I know Eric and Stephanie will be here teaching that skill and handing out some buckets. So that's a fun thing. We have a trash bash coming up in September on the 26th. I'll make sure all you guys get a calendar invite if you want to swing by. They're usually a very fun event. And the last item is that Eric brought up, which is a great thing, is Staff will be meeting in early September with the treasurer, bond counsel, and financial advisor team we use during the bond process to start the planning and preparing for early repayment of the landfill bonds, which will be in June of next year. So we're starting that process now. So that's it.
And that bond was in about 9 million or 10 million, or am I? Yeah,
It was approximately 9 million.
Yeah.
9 million. Okay, great. All right. Excellent. All right. Next up, financial reports.
All right, thank you, Chair Hallidan, and good afternoon to the board. We have now completed fiscal year 26. So on page 5, you will see our unaudited actuals comparing our approved budget versus actuals. And I do want to highlight that these are unaudited. There could be some minor changes coming through after the fact. But the bottom line is for our income for the year is about 6.1 million. And on the revenue side, we have a favorable variance to budget, about 689,000 or 1.2% of budget. And this is due to a couple things. Solid waste disposal revenue performed better than budget by about 927,000. Miscellaneous revenue, which consists mostly of LDs to FCC, about 1.1 million. And then we have investment income that performed better than budget by 814,000. This is offset by the underperforming budget for state aid by about 1.9 million. This is due to part of what we had budgeted, revenue actually being revenue that needed to be recognized in fiscal year 25. On the expenses side, we're also favorable to budget, but I just want to point out we're largely within line on the operating expenses. What's creating the large variance here on the expense side is the capital assets. We're about 6 million under what we had budgeted. A large part of this was the Western Property Permitting Development, which is about 4.4 million. So are there any questions?
Any questions? Director Gore, any questions?
No questions for me, thanks.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Monthly tonnage reports. Will?
Yes, good evening, Chair Halden, and Board of Directors. Before you is the first month of the fiscal year's tonnage reports. So far, we are tracking below projections for everything besides inerts. And if we look at the month of July, reflect on that, several reasons. Inerts being earth moving. Everyone's finishing up their projects before the winter weather sets in when earth moving comes to a standstill. And also a very hot July we experienced. So a lot of mom and pops not showing up, kicking that weekend project down the road, a little cooler time. So as always, we'll keep track of this and bring it back to your board for if there's anything of note. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Sure, Holden. I'm used to looking at reservoir forecasts, and often they have multiple years on a chart that, you can track and see how the year's doing, the month's doing compared to previous years. If it's possible, and of value to this board and future boards, to have a historic perspective, in case there's anomalies, but if it's pretty consistent, then I withdraw my suggestion. But just,
Yeah, absolutely.
years may change.
Absolutely, Chair Haddisheld. The blue line item that you see on the graph, that's the average of the past 3 years. But if you'd like us to track it a little differently, we'd be happy to do that.
It's a pleasure of the board later. I mean, it's not an agenda item, so I'm just, yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, 3-year average is pretty good, right? Yeah. Sorry, I mean, if you go in reservoir storage and things like that, you can see each month, by year, you can see 1983 and drought years on top of it. I'm not suggesting you go historically backwards, because we're a different operation than we were previously, but I was just thinking, yeah.
You can go back to 1978 and just start.
You got that flying around, right?
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
and, you know, why, I'm not suggesting that you do that, because, you know, just 5 years ago, the flow was different because the commercial, industrial, residential was different, so I just wanted to be helpful. Not really, I just wanted to show off, I think.
Absolutely. Director Hascheld will tweak it and bring something back to see how that looks.
All right, great. All right, next, annual MRF processing fee adjustment.
Yeah, good evening again, Board. Before you, first item is the annual MRF processing fee adjustment. This is an informational item. The annual processing fee adjustment is included with the agreement with FCC Environmental Services for the operations of the material recovery facility, and it happens every start of the fiscal year on July 1. The fee adjustment is the product of an annual inflationary adjustment factor that's calculated based on various labor and materials indices published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the fees established in the 2022-2023 operating agreement, which is the base year of that agreement, so it reflects on that. A little bit reflecting on the last board meeting in June, your board approved the first amended and restated MRF operating agreement between WATMA and FCC. As part of that agreement, the annual processing fee adjustment is capped at a maximum of 3.75%. That being said, staff reviewed the fee adjustment calculations that FCC provided previously and agrees with the inflationary adjustment factor of 1.1287 relative to the base year, which would have yielded an approximately 5.6% year-over-year increase. However, with the 3.75% cap in place, as of the first amended and restated MRF agreement, the actual fees are shown in the table below there. Fiscal impact, this would result in about roughly a $1.3 million increase in the amount of fees being paid for the processing operations. This adjustment to FCC's fee structure does not change the current tipping fees charged to WATMA's customers, and we do have sufficient funding identified in the fiscal year 26-27 budget to account for these fee increases. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Director Gore, any questions?
No questions for me.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see, annual landfill processing fee adjustment.
Yes, thank you, Chair Halden. Like the previous one, this is the annual landfill processing fee adjustment that's baked into FCC's landfill operating agreement based off the base year of 2022-2023. WATMA staff reviewed the fee adjustment calculations that FCC's submitted and again agrees with the inflationary adjustment factor of 1.0770 relative to the base year. This reflects a 5.28% year-over-year increase in the fees paid, which is shown in the table there. What this means fiscally is that FCC will be approximately paid $135,000 more for landfill operations versus had the fees remained the same of 25-26 fiscal year. Again, this doesn't affect the tip fee structure for our customers, and sufficient budget has been accounted for in the fiscal year 26-27 budget that your board approved previously.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions about this one.
Any questions? Director Gort?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
All right. Operator update. Let's hear from our partner, Tony.
Good evening. So our team continues to focus on driving the operational efficiencies and improvement throughout the site. As previously mentioned, we are laser focused, independently looking at each milestone individually to focus all our efforts and to make sure that we're maximizing the gains. Scott mentioned quarter 2, SB 1303 audit went well, and quarter 3 is also looking very similar to quarter 2. So our attention will start shifting to quarter 4 shortly thereafter, and that is scheduled for October 19th. We are thrilled, we're excited, yet another pivotal milestone to continue to validate and improve the recovery and the performance of the site. In July, we did complete a performance test with Van Dyke, as promised, holding our vendors accountable. And I'm also thrilled to share that the MRF performance went well. The only area of concern that we identified throughout this process was the purity of the paper and the purity of the cardboard. With the paper dryers close to the operational status being final, And I know that Annelle's got an item coming up shortly. She'll provide an update on that. But we look forward to checking off yet another important milestone to get us closer to the recovery of all items. Over the next several weeks, we'll also work closely with the WAPMA staff to finalize the details of our systems performance test and evaluate the overall systems performance and recovery of the site. And given the complexity of the operation that we have, one of my key areas of focus is going to start shifting more towards training and development of the staff. And with the goal being to ensure that we can secure repeatable, sustainable process and to continue to go this further into long-term success. And tonight, I'm also honored and excited to announce several new team members. Caitlin Headington, she's currently serving as our admin assistant. With us here tonight, Roberto Del Toro, landfill manager. And also a special thank you for Roberto, Justin Pace, JP. He introduced us a while back, and it took me a while to convince Roberto to come join us and help us out. But very thrilled for that. So thank you, JP. And Cesar Mendoza, our new senior general manager, who joined us this week. Each of them has already begun making a significant impact. And I personally am very excited. I get some relief, get some assistance, get to take some time off, and get to rest. But with that, I do want to give Cesar the opportunity to come up, introduce himself, and then we'll stand by for any questions you may have.
Good evening. Cesar Mendoza, new senior general manager for the entire facility. I am actually quite excited to be here. A little background. I was the service technician manager for the sustainable generation technology that sits out there currently. I've been on this site for the last 4 years, on and off, during construction, during development, during commissioning, so I know that system quite well, inside and out. Like I said, I look forward to just assisting Tony and the entire team, as well as the authority, to create a better partnership and be successful in everything that we do here every day.
All right, great. Thank you. Do you have more, Tony? Okay, sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Oh, no, I don't. Any questions?
No. Any questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, but just want to say really appreciate, well, first of all, it's really exciting to see the new members of your team, and I think you've earned a little bit of a respite, so hopefully they can provide you that support. But welcome, Cesar. We're really glad to have you in this new role, and I know our success is your success, and your success is our success, and I think we all want this to be a great partnership where we're all in lockstep working together to move forward. And so I really appreciate, Tony, the level of effort you have put into, you had a very challenging, well, multiple challenging issues in front of you. And there are still some challenges that we need to overcome, but really we should be celebrating those individual milestones. And I'm glad you highlighted some of those individual things, because it's really important to not just focus on the negative things and the things that we still need to work on, even though it's important that we acknowledge those and work on them. But really, we all should be celebrating, because it's an accomplishment for all of us when you guys succeed and you accomplish something. So really great work on the progress that you've made, and congratulations on hopefully another good report, knock on wood, I won't jinx it, and hopefully we get one last good report in October.
Thank
Sure, hold on, I was a little slow on the button. Cesar, you mentioned your time here, which is valuable, right? Tell us about before you were here, what your background is in
Sure.
landfill operations. I think that would be.
I didn't want to get too detailed and take too much of your time. So
Where
I've
were you
been in the waste
born?
industry.
What school did you go
Where were your
to?
parents born?
I've been in the waste industry for the last 17 plus years. I've ran MRF facilities, transfer stations, compost facilities, C&D lines. I mean, you name it, I can basically touch and operate every single piece of equipment you can ever
I now have a
imagine.
greater degree of confidence that you just don't see things here. You've seen the good and the bad.
Yes.
Thank you.
Director Gore, any comments?
No, welcome. Glad you're on board. Thanks.
And I'd just like to say, Director Landon swiped my talking points.
Oh, sorry.
And she said she's.
I
took
was
'em-
reading your
did-
notes.
Yeah, she's just reading my notes, but, so I won't say them again, but really want to welcome everybody. I think we're all part of the same team here, and we all have to row in the right direction too, but just really appreciate you, Tony, and the team, and we're doing something here that hasn't been done anywhere else right now. So we know that it's not simple, and we need you guys to succeed. So looking forward to that. So thank you. Okay. All right. Item 7G, the facility projects update.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'll talk louder. Sorry. Hello. So as we know, the agenda is prepared well in advance, so I'm gonna give you guys the most up to date, because a lot of things have progressed since we finalized this agenda. And in the beginning, we mentioned the systems performance test that Tony touched on it. We're gonna be working the next couple of months with them to hone in what we're expecting and what they can feasibly provide, and hopefully we'll get to display, like you said, a system that's never been done before. We'll get to show that it's working as it should. Caesar's really instrumental as well. One of our weak links is our CASP system for the facility, and he sold us the CASP we have and many other people. I've talked to some other facilities that have used the system successfully with his help setting it up and everything. So we're excited to have him on board helping get that infrastructure better aligned with our goals. And Van Dyke, they finished the odor control equipment, and they're working on commissioning that still. And then the correction to the fire protection installation being pending, it has since been installed and the water infrastructure has been installed. The infrared cameras they've been ordered, they're on site, they're gonna be installed within the next week, if not already. Van Dyke will be out next week to fine tune the system, make sure that when we switch over to the paper dryers being operational, that it's all running smoothly. And then the following week, the 24th, our fire marshal will be out here to test the system as a whole, make sure it's safe and operational we mentioned that there was some significant fire safety concerns, so that will kind of check all those boxes for us, and then we're looking forward to starting that up and cleaning the stream of all the paper and cardboard that we've been having. And we are still working on opening the new scale house. Tomorrow, they're going to cut a handrail that allows us to open up a traffic pattern there. That's kind of our most minimal improvement we can make, and make it all work. So that's the route we're going, is to just cut that. And then the kiosks that will automate our system for commercial drivers and FCC's internal landfill traffic as well. We will start having proximity cards that are just read automatically when they're tapped, and so that should really speed up our turnaround time for our commercial haulers. And those have begun to be installed. At the end of the week, our landfill scale will have both of them, and then by the end of the month, they will be at our commercial scales, our new C&D scale, and our landfill scale. The liner investigation, our consultant has until tomorrow to provide us with their solution and their report. So we're looking forward to reviewing that. And then for the South Placer wastewater authority, the SPWA compliance project, the construction did begin June 8th. The concrete and retaining walls for the worm beds, how familiar you are with the system, but that has been complete. we're working on the pads this week for the other pieces of infrastructure like the carbon filters and the tanks. I wanted to update that we have been working with SPWA regarding some ever-changing comments about the system, and so due to that, we've had to issue a change order to our contractor for a larger tank size, and they will not be able to meet the August 31st completion date with that change. And we're hoping to use some backup options to reach the compliance date of October 26th. But that's going to have to be an ongoing discussion with SPWA regarding the comments they issue us and us trying to quickly incorporate them into our project. And then WAPMA is continuing to work with FCC and Jacobs on some solutions to the odors that we've been having from the south ponds. And the plan for FCC is to empty the south pond and muck it out basically, so to help reduce the odors. And it seems to be going well sometimes, and then sometimes it comes back up, but it's mostly going well. The levels are pretty low, so I think that that's on track for the October 1st goal there. But that's the end of the project updates. Did you guys have any questions?
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, Will, I think you mentioned things are going well, except for paper and cardboard, right?
Yes, Tony.
Tony, hey, Tony. When the dryer comes online, what relationship does the dryer have to what Tony was reporting? I mean, will that then, yeah.
Should be able to answer this. So it's going to clean up the humidity. Right now the humidity is too high. The second piece is that we will add sorters after the paper dryers, which will end up being the final QC. Currently, that paper does not touch any sorters, so there's no possibility of getting any quality control on it. Absolutely.
Thank you. Am I pronouncing that?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, Director Gore?
Hey, just a quick question. You said that SPWA made some changes in the size of the tank for the compliance. So they're going to work with you on the completion date, correct? And if that's a problem, we should discuss it. But they should work with you on the completion date if they changed what was expected.
Yes, I hope so. I'm intending to request a formal comment letter. It's been mostly verbal comments, and due to the change, I'm requesting them to have a signed formal letter issued so that say these are the final comments, and we were given the go-ahead for construction. So we're in the middle of construction, and that this change is of course going to change what we're able to complete by what day. So we'll see how.
Okay, well, there's a problem. I think I serve on that board, and so if there's a problem, let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Want to give the public a chance to make any comments on these item 7. If there's anybody who'd like to make a comment on any of the item 7 items, please stand up. Okay. Seeing none. All right. We'll move to our next item, item 8, a consent agenda. These are routine matters taken care of with one vote. Is there anybody on the board who'd like to pull any of these items? Director Gore?
No.
Okay. All right. Hearing none. Oh, sorry.
Is item C, 8C, a consent item?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, because it was a rejection of their claim.
Okay.
Yes.
When we made a motion to, on the consent item, then it'll be the board's motion. It'll be the board's action.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Just want to make sure.
Okay. All right. If I yeah, if I could get a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Director Landon, seconded by Director Hodeschelt. If we could have a roll call on this.
Director Gore,
Aye.
Director Reedy,
Yes.
Director Landon,
Yes.
Director Haderschelt, Chair Halden.
Yes. Okay. Our next item, as we mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, item 9A will be put off for a future meeting, so we'll move to item 9B.
Yes, good evening once again, Chair Halden, Board of Directors. Item 9B, the Recology Courtyard lease. Really excited about this item. It's a little complicated, a lot of recommended actions in this one, so I'll walk you through it with a little bit of background. Beginning in 2002, your board approved a lease with Recology on a portion of the actual campus we sit on right now, the WAPMA proper, for storage of empty roll-off bins that they use to service their community. This lease was mutually beneficial for Recology and the WAPMA at the time. However, beginning in July 2022, when FCC received the contract to operate the MRF, the land where the bin yard was needed by FCC for their operation of inerts and soil processing at that time. Looking at our internal land on the campus central at that time, we did not have a suitable area that would work out for both Recology and the authority. So at the end of 2022, we mutually closed that lease. Since last summer, we've re-engaged with Recology about leasing a portion of our western property for a courtyard for maintenance and parking of collection vehicles, roll-off bins like they did before, and a potential dispatch center, so quite a bit more than the historical lease. Together with them, we identified approximately 6 acres centrally located around the farmhouse and that shop that would best fit Recology's intended uses. Recology has identified several site improvements that would need to be completed prior to using the property to its fullest intent. The lease is being phased, phase 1 and phase 2, whereas phase 1, Recology would be using that leased area as a bin yard for empty bins, kind of like what they did in the past on our property, until phase 2 kicks into effect, which would be the full use. Now, the improvements that go from phase 1 to phase 2 is primarily power, with PG&E dropping a new transformer and bringing more power to the site to bring it up to commercial capacity instead of a residential capacity. So we're working with Recology on that bit to transition from phase 1 to phase 2 as soon as possible. The attached lease in the board packet is for 10 years, and it does have a renewal option upon its end, should the board and Recology deem that mutually beneficial. Now, the 6 acres, approximately 2 of them was in the lease between WAPMA and LISWA, which began in August 2003, when the board originally approved that lease between WAPMA and the city of Lincoln for the application of treated wastewater produced by the wastewater treatment plant and reclamation facility just to the north of us. On July 15th, 2014, the WAPMA and the city of Lincoln agreed to extend the lease on a month-to-month basis via holdover terms of the lease. And then in 2002, your board authorized the assignment of the City of Lincoln lease from the City of Lincoln to LISWA, the Lincoln Sewer Maintenance District 1, with no changes to the property utilization. Attached in the board packet is a first amendment to the LISWA lease, which changes the northern boundary of the lease area that is leased out to LISWA from 100 feet north of the driveway off of the intersection of Athens and Fitiment to immediately south of that driveway. Except for the hay barn and 40 feet west of the hay barn for vehicle access, which the farmer uses. The aforementioned driveway would be open for WAPMA, LISWA subcontracted farmer, and Recology's mutual use. The boundary changed has no material effect to LISWA's operations nor the farming operations there. And the third part of this item is, if approved, we need to enter into a participating special entity agreement with the Placer Conservation Agency, thank you, for an incidental take permit and mitigation coverage for the development of those 6 acres into the courtyard grassland conversion. The authority is not a permittee of the Placer PCCP. However, the effects of the conversion of land in and around our western Placer facility were analyzed and accounted for by PCCP and are eligible for coverage. The participating special entity agreement and attached PCCP conditions are attached and set forth as terms and conditions for the permit coverage. So basically what that means, we need to pay offsetting fees for the conversion of land for the PCA to purchase land for conservation elsewhere in Placer County. Environmental clearance for this document, while our 2022 Renewable Placer Waste Action Plan final EIR did not specifically say corp yard, the uses in the EIR and operations covered in that EIR are similar in the attached lease and conform with the uses identified in the supporting elements in the EIR. As such, no further CEQA review is needed for the proposed lease for the Corp Yard project site or the proposed participating special entity agreement. What this means fiscally for the authority, we estimate the cost to improve the portion of the western property for the initial phase, that phase 1 of Recology's lease, to be at most $100,000. Additionally, talking with Recology, they estimate that the electrical improvements necessary to get them to phase 2 full usage would be around $150,000 to $300,000. We have agreed with Recology to share up to a maximum of $225,000 of those improvement costs through electrical upgrade credits. That would mean we would credit them up to $1,875 on the monthly lease payment, resulting in no additional direct cost to the authority. The additional income of the lease for phase 1 would be $10,000 a month, and then once we roll to phase 2 full usage, $35,000 a month. Additionally, the cost for permit coverage for the PCCP will not exceed $200,000. In the board packet with the agreement is $160,180.80. Now, all of this has been identified in the fiscal year 26-27 budget with sufficient funding that was approved in May. Some of Recology management is also here that I'm sure they'd be happy to speak on this item. We've worked very hard together over the past year to see this one across the finish line. So I think a big opportunity for the authority and Recology to mutually benefit.
Okay.
With that, be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Recology a chance to say a few words or not, if whatever you like. Yeah. Not sure. Yeah,
maybe
push the
not.
button there.
There you
Now you go.
Oh, there we
got
go.
Green.
How's that?
Yeah.
Is that
that's
better?
good.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm Ed Farewell. I'm a regional vice president for what we call the Cal North region. So I'm overseeing this area along with our general manager, Katie Hardesty. And more than anything, I just want to thank all of you here in the room for this opportunity and for your consideration. If approved, we look forward to operating here. It'll provide much needed efficiency as we serve our communities here in the county area as well as Rockland area. So I think this will be hopefully it's a win-win for all of us.
First and foremost, Rockland. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
First and foremost, Rockland.
Rockland, yes. There you go.
Okay. Any directors have any questions?
I just, one quick
sure,
question.
yeah.
I was just wondering, do you know what was the previous lease, the income from the previous lease, just out of curiosity?
It was roughly $2,000 a month.
Oh, okay. Great.
Director Hodeschelt.
Yeah, so properties across the street. Property will be used to store bins, correct?
Yeah, so the property will be used to store empty bins and also empty collection vehicles and maintenance of those vehicles in the 5,000 square foot shop there. And then the house would be used by a small staff, I believe, as a dispatch center for trucking and the commercial applications there.
It's an existing use right now. Why, I'm just curious why there has to be a contribution to PCCP. I mean, the land use is not changing. There's not anything going vertical. It's storage. I mean, I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning PCCP and why they would why that would be. I mean, does that mean that anybody who wants to store something on their property, I'm not an expert in the Placer County zoning ordinance, but if they were in that area and they wanted to store something, they would have to contribute to the PCCP?
I believe the conversion of grasslands, part of our project and the initial improvements that the authority is internally making to the site would be to hard face and grade some of the grassland there for a flat pad surface. Ethan, I don't know if you had.
Yeah, that's my understanding, is it's because of the paving of the grasslands that we have to make the contribution.
Yeah, and look, I'm gonna take up time, I apologize for this, but, you know, you can tell me, go talk to Greg. Does that mean any agricultural property who wants to put in a hard pan and surface has to, and it's not currently doing PCCP, has to pay that? I'll talk to
Not necessarily. I mean, if it's used for an agricultural use, then there are a lot of exemptions for that. But for something like this, it's not a,
It seems like a rather benign use.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they're gonna put a shop up and, you know, start running underground utilities or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
So
I think,
really I have a bone with you.
Yeah.
you,
I think,
really
I think with our agreements with the state and federal agencies, there's not a lot of flexibility for us with the way the PCCP is. So I get it. It's frustrating.
No,
but
so it's not a, what do they call that under these agreements? A covered activity?
it is a covered activity, but there's
So
a
why
cost.
are we paying?
There's a cost when it's a covered activity.
It's not a covered activity.
It's not a free activity.
Just
Yeah,
to be,
let's have a meeting. Let's have a meeting with Greg.
just to be clear, we will be using the existing shop for that purpose as a shop.
Existing shop is already there.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah, you're not paying any fees for that.
Will, thanks, man. I should have asked all these questions before we got here, but then I wouldn't have Sean.
Okay, I'm texting Greg right now so that we can have a meeting.
Director Gore, any questions?
No questions from me, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions from the board? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
This time, I'd like to open it up for any comments from the public. Okay, seeing none.
Having had
ask-
all my questions answered, I'll move the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion from Director Hodeschelt, seconded by Director Reedy. Madam Clerk, if you can call the roll.
Director Gore,
Aye.
Director Reedy,
Yes.
Director Landon,
Yes.
Director Haddishelt,
Yes.
Chair Halden.
Yes. All right, thank you. We'll now move on to item 9C, MSW Recovery Rate and Operating Agreement.
Yes, thank you, Chair Halden, members of the board. Tonight, staff are seeking your direction on how to address the issue with dealing with FCC's failure to meet the guaranteed minimum recycling level for MSW for last fiscal year. So as noted in the agreement, the current GMRL, or Guaranteed Minimum Recovery Rate for MSW, is 22% by weight. And if they were to exceed that, there's an opportunity to earn incentive payments. And if they do not meet that, then there are disincentive adjustments. Ultimately, those are both intended to either reward FCC for minimizing the amount of material that ultimately goes in the landfill, or, for lack of a better word, penalizing them when too much material goes in the landfill, because, as we all know, it fills up the landfill more rapidly, and then we need to develop new landfills sooner. As noted in the staff report, last fiscal year, FCC achieved a diversion rate of 17.53%, so they came up short, which did trigger the disincentive provisions, and it was low enough to also constitute default under the agreement. So I know this all sounds negative, but I really do want to echo what has been said previously and what your board has noted, is that Tony and his team at FCC have done a tremendous job in getting this facility up and running. It's a huge challenge to make the modifications that have been done to an operating facility and keep it operating the entire time. There's a couple of points I do want to note, is that the new MRF started operating in July of last year. And while there's some bumps initially in getting that going, if you look at the chart, and we'll bring it up here in a moment, is they really finished very strong in terms of recovery, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So what that means is that there were points where they needed to divert material to the landfill, not process it in the facility. They had long wait times for customers, And through a tremendous amount of effort, they turned that around. So near the end of the fiscal year, there's very little diversion of material straight to the landfills being processed in the MRF, and customers were able to get in and out very quickly. So, a very big success story there. Secondly, while it's not discussed in this report, on the construction and demolition side, FCC achieved a pretty solid recovery rate last year, over 50%. And in fact, looking back, it is by far and away the largest recovery rate, the highest recovery rate ever achieved at this site. Not even close. When our previous operator was here, we were in the mid-20s. So the fact that we're seeing that kind of recovery rate is very much a bright spot. But it is important to note that this facility that your board has invested quite a bit of money in is built on three major components. It is the MSW, the MRF system, it's C&D, and it's composting of the organics that are recovered from the MSW. And that is the piece that will really be the key to achieving compliance with 1383. And this is where, to this point, FCC has had some challenges. As Tony noted, they brought on Cesar Mendoza. Cesar comes from the corporation that designed and has implemented these composting systems. So, they're going to be in a much better position with Cesar on board now. But last fiscal year, they struggled. And so I do want to draw your attention to the chart that's on the screen because I think this is very telling. The golden bars up there are what the actual contractual recovery rate was by month for the fiscal year. And so you see that in some cases they exceeded 30%, say in March. In many cases, they're between 10 and 20% per month. And that's, overall, that's why they landed below the GMRL. However, if you look at the substantial amount of organic material that was recovered from the MSW stream, and again, that's what's going to dictate compliance with 1383, if that had been sent all to the CASP operation and was able to be composted, theoretically, they would have had a diversion rate that's represented by the blue lines. So you'll see in the last 4 years of last fiscal year, they would have been over 60%. Unfortunately, in many of these cases, that material had to be directed to the landfill for one reason or another, whether that's a physical capacity, an operating issue, but it's something that, the authorities are aware of, FCC is aware of, and obviously FCC is taking very strong measures to remedy. But be that as it may, it landed them in kind of a tough spot for last fiscal year. So I do want to read some points here that I, again, reinforce what I just said, but I think are important to keep in mind here, is that based on this information that you see on the chart, one, the MRF equipment and infrastructure appears adequately designed to achieve the required MSW diversion rate. That's exemplified at least by those last 4 months. And their FCC demonstrated over the last 4 months of the fiscal year that it can operate the MRF and recover quantities required to meet the GMRL 60%, which once they achieve substantial completion, that's what that target goes up to. They've demonstrated they can do that. Third, a significant portion of the material recovered from the MSW stream is intended to be processed via the new covered aerated static pile, or CASP, composting system. And fourth and final is the CASP operating capacity appears insufficient to accommodate that quantity of material at this point. So in those last 4 months, approximately 69% of that material recovered from the MSW stream had to be landfilled. If that were not the case, we would be well over 60% diversion rate. So, again, there are some challenges. There are some bright spots. This, I believe, is at this point the Achilles heel of the operation and the final piece that has to be resolved. Again, at the risk of repeating myself, FCC knows this. They've brought on the right personnel to get this addressed. I'm confident that it will be. But until that point, we do have an issue from last fiscal year that we need to resolve. So we are seeking some direction from your board on, one, how to deal with collection and possible usage for that disincentive adjustment of approximately $770,000, $770,000, and what, if any, immediate actions your board wants to take to address the default situation from last year. So with that, I'll open it up to your board for questions and direction.
If I could just add just a couple comments. Thank you, Eric. I think how Eric presented this was did a really good job. overall, it's telling the reality of the situation. It's looking in the rears, but I think it's also acknowledging how much they have changed and how much we are heading in the right direction. So I think it's important to address, the past and what the contract says, but it's also, this is a positive report in my mind because we have identified the areas that need to be corrected to make this facility work exactly how it should. And everybody's on the same page. We all know what needs to be done. So thanks, Eric.
Okay, any questions from the board? Director Hodeschelt.
Yeah, so this does not affect our 1383 compliance?
At this point, the way the state determines compliance with 1383 is through the quarterly sampling. So, as Tony noted, the first 2 quarterly samples were very good. They're above 75%. This sampling period appears to be on the same track. So for the information that is provided to the state in which they make the determination of our compliance, we're looking okay. But the broader point is, right now, on an ongoing basis, we're not composting enough of that material.
So what I'm hearing you and Scott say is we should look at, March through June and anticipate that will be the trend going forward?
I believe, well, sort of. I believe once FCC is able to address the... Well, I think once FCC is able to address the CASP operation, the composting operation, and optimize that, which they've already identified some solutions there to reduce or eliminate the need to direct these organic materials straight to the landfill, and they're able to compost them, then yes, I am confident that they will be up above the 60% mark and that we're going to be good on an ongoing basis.
Caesar, do you agree with that? I do. I have no more questions because I have no battery in my mic.
Okay. Director Gore, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I do have a suggestion after questions and public comment are finished.
All right, let's open it up for public comment at this point. Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none. Director Hodeschelt now has a new one. He needs, because he pushes his button so often, down there, so.
I'm on channel 170.
Okay.
Move the item.
So why don't we take some comments and suggestions from Director Gore?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Eric, for your report. And I certainly understand that FCC hasn't met the requirement. But what I do understand is that the CASP is probably one of the biggest issues, right, where items are not able to be composted and they end up going to the landfill, which is a problem. And from my understanding, the CASP system isn't large enough to accommodate all of the organics that are coming in that need to be composted and processed. And maybe that's a design flaw in the original plans. It may be that we have a lot more composting, and the site doesn't accommodate it. So my thought was this: they have drawn potential fines, and what if we were to work with FCC and take those fines and invest them into upgrading that site so that we can compost? So whether that's increasing the site, adding additional equipment, whatever that might be. So instead of the money just going into us and finding them, what if we were to invest those dollars, and then if there's more that needs to be invested, then the WAPNA also contributes towards the investment of making sure that the CASP system works and works well and appropriately.
Okay, great. Any other comments, suggestions from directors? Director Reedy.
Yeah, I'd echo what Director Gore said. I think, and I'm not interested in sort of applying the fine immediately, but I'd like to see. I think you've got two issues. You've got an immediate short-term capacity issue and a longer medium-term capacity issue. So there's some issues with the design
Yours went out too. Oh, now it's back on.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll see if that works.
Yeah.
See how long my battery light's blinking too. Okay. Anyway, the short order of it is, my preferred direction for the board is to not assess it immediately, but have the general manager and FCC work about a strategy to address both. And to Director Gore's comments, if that involves us contributing some because there's an expansion component to that, I'd like to see like sort of one project solve the whole thing at once. I think that would be the most efficient.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep, I would agree. I think that's a great use of the fine funds, I guess. And instead of it just being a penalty, at least we should use it towards something that's going to be beneficial to all of us.
Great. All right. Does this require an action of the board, or can we provided some direction here?
No, I think staff was just looking for
Okay.
direction. I think you
Okay,
gave it,
great.
and we can go back and
Okay,
take future action if necessary.
all right. Good, enough direction for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, we'll move on to the next item is reports from directors. Any reports from directors? Director Hodeschelt.
Yeah, I saw Emily and a new employee, Daniel, a new outreach at Maidu Regional Park for National Night Out. Saw some pretty cool tie-dye T-shirts, and where are they? Oh, they're over there. huh?
They're over there, yeah.
Oh, they're in bins. Okay.
Well,
Okay,
So yeah, so thanks for being out there.
okay, great. Director Reedy? Nope.
Nope.
Director Gore?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. Item 11, upcoming agenda items. Are there any items that the board would like the staff to address at a future meeting? All right, Director Gore?
No, I'm still here.
Great, okay.
But nothing from me.
We'll move to everybody's favorite item, item 12, adjournment. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, Bruce, I have an answer for you.